Now we're going to get kicked off here with just a very quick comment on the financial news from yesterday. So let's have a quick listen to what Andrew Bailey, the Governor of the Bank of England, said yesterday.
Today, we've raised interest rates to 4%. We've all seen very clearly the problems caused by high inflation over the past year. It's our job to get inflation back to 2% and for it to stay there. Low and stable inflation is the foundation of a healthy economy. An economy where people can plan for the future with confidence and money holds its value. We need to be absolutely sure we get inflation down. That's why we've raised rates today. We've raised rates a lot already, and I do understand this is hard for many people. But this is the best way we have of bringing inflation down. It's too soon to declare victory, but there are now signs that things are beginning to move in the right direction. Inflation appears to have turned a corner and is starting to fall. We will continue to take the decisions needed to see it through.
So we should be deeply impressed with that, no doubt. Now, this is the graphic that the Bank of England pushed out yesterday, and I just want to point at the middle section on the right-hand side there. This is what they say inflation is going to do. We expect inflation to fall quickly this year. So it's gone up very steeply. It's going to come down very steeply. And that's going to solve, Patrick, all our problems. Because, of course, as he said, when inflation comes down, that's the end of it, isn't it? Except it isn't, because all inflation is a representation of how fast prices are rising. Prices aren't going to fall just because inflation falls. Prices don't fall because inflation falls. They want inflation around the 2% level. So we're at this level of pain for the long term, really.
Yeah, well, the best thing to do if you have inflation, Mike, is always to borrow and spend more. This is what governments have done, but no, I'm joking. This is what governments do, and hence the problem gets progressively worse. We don't see any addressing the fundamentals of the economy, the fundamentals of the energy market, all the main things that are driving the price of goods and services right across the board. There's nothing coming from government or the Bank of England or anybody else to address those core problems. So the problem will just persist.
Right.
Same thing in Europe, same thing in the US.
Absolutely. But not perhaps quite so bad in Russia and China. But anyway, we'll come on to that some other time, no doubt. Let's move on to the issue of vaccines. And I want to begin just with this job advertisement on civil service jobs. This is for Vaccine Supply Operations Lead. It's a job being advertised by the UK Health Security Agency, and the deadline for applications is Tuesday, the 14th of February, 2023. It's a reasonably well-paid job, £49,592 to £62,286 a year. They say that if you're a non-civil servant applying for the civil service for the first time, you'll come in at that lower rate. But anyway, let's see what they have to say. They say that Vaccines and Countermeasures Response Department is part of the National Infection Service Directorate. Many people don't understand that these organisations exist within the UK Health Security Agency, but anyway, it goes on. It is concerned with the procurement and supply of vaccines for the immunisation programme and the national stockpiles, vaccine agreements and storage and distribution requirements for pandemic flu preparedness and emergency response planning. This includes the budget management and financial accounting in relation to these arrangements. It then says the role of the Vaccine Supply Operations Lead is a new post to support the operations, providing accurate and timely reports for a range of stakeholders during what is expected to be the UK's largest vaccination programme, which will be delivered at pace and will be a key ministerial priority. The role will be directly responsible for the daily operational management of all COVID-related products, ensuring their timely distribution across the UK, Crown dependencies and overseas territories. So in the first paragraph there, we saw that they were talking about pandemic flu preparedness, but now we're talking about COVID-related products. But they are saying during what, so just put that back on screen if we could, Stephanie, during what is expected to be the UK's largest vaccination programme, which will be delivered at pace and will be a key ministerial priority. Now, it could be that what they've done is simply take the text from a previous advertisement and rehashed it for this. But I wanted to know what they meant by the UK's largest vaccination program, because it's an expectation. The implication is that this is something that's going to happen in the future. So I wrote to the media team at the UK Health Security Agency, and well, let's just have a look and see what I got back. So here's Claire Cook. Thanks for your message. I'm now out of the office until Monday, the 6th of February. Okay. Then I got Luke Guinness. He's currently on shared parental leave. Then we've got Emma O'Brien. She's out of the office until, well, until Monday, in fact. Then we got Rosie Reeves-Webb. She's out of the office until Monday. And then we've got Matthew Blom, who's out of the office until Tuesday. So there's apparently nobody manning the Health Security Agency, UK Health Security Agency's media team today. And so we're unlikely to get any kind of response. But Patrick, the implications of this are that the issue of mass vaccination hasn't gone away. And this is despite the fact that the JCVI last week basically said they're changing their tack from a mass vaccination program to I can't remember what they called it, but targeted vaccination of various groups. So there seems to be some disparity about what's going on here.
Yeah, the key word, Mike, there is countermeasures. Countermeasures. What type of a term is that? This is a military term. It pertains specifically to biowarfare and biodefense. And if you remember what we revealed a couple of weeks ago on this program on a Friday, how the vaccine rollout is under the aegis of the Pentagon, of the Department of Defense. And that includes the manufacturing of the payload of the vaccine. Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, they only fill and finish. The payload is under direct military supervision. That includes the distribution, and that even includes all of the activities, even of the pharmaceutical companies and also of governments, healthcare, health authorities, on the sort of right down to sticking the needle in the arm. This is why there's a liability shield right across the board from the beginning to the end of the entire supply chain. And that brings us to, I don't know if you want to go straight into the next
go
Mike,
for it. Yes, absolutely.
So the fundamental question is, you'll bring this graphic up on screen, are COVID-19 vaccines biodefense security countermeasures? Obviously, that was an open question a few months ago. And now, because of great research by a lot of independent researchers, some of whom we showed their Substack articles a couple of weeks ago, and I did a nice graphic to sort of sketch out how this is structured. Now we know the answer to that question. The answer to that question is yes. So the FDA, the HSS, the CDC are all operating on the public side, and it's complete regulatory theater. Okay, they don't have any actual power, and they don't have any liability because it's not under their aegis. It's not under their authority. And I don't know technically if you can say the same thing with regards to the UK or to the EMA, but certainly in Europe, it's looking more like that. And they've done all sorts of legal loopholes and runarounds in order to avoid liability on this issue, because it's a bio threat. So therefore, the military has been invoked in order to carry out all of the functions from beginning to end with regards to the research and development, the manufacturing, and the deployment of these so-called vaccines, which are military prototypes. Okay, this is like if you're a soldier in the army and you go in for a vaccination, they can stick whatever they want in your arm. You have no rights, basically, because they could be giving you a prototype. They could be testing something on you, an anthrax vaccine because of a threat in the field. Think about the Iraq War, First Gulf War, Second Gulf War. Dr. Merrill Nass from Children's Health Defense talked about Gulf War syndrome and the links to vaccines. So we have the same level of rights as a soldier, i.e., no rights. So this is why it's going to be very difficult to challenge this legally. So there's a great article here, and one click and it will scroll automatically. It's an embedded video of the article. This is by French journalist Freddie Ponton, and he lays out the entire structure of this. So if you want to see how this is structured from the government point of view, it's a very interesting article indeed, and it really, I think, provides a lot of the legal structure, the proof that you need to make this argument right there in the documents. And the key person here, Donald Trump, is one of the key people. He pressed the button on this. He made it a military operation with warp speed. A lot of people didn't realize it at the time, but now we know it. But the key person a bit lower is Deborah Birx. She's more of a key person than Dr. Anthony Fauci. Fauci is not the key guy. He's the front of house. He's theater. Deborah Birx, Colonel Deborah Birx, military commander. She's got a very interesting CV, and she's the one who is in charge of this rollout from a Pentagon level or a DoD level. So the details are in this article here by Freddie Ponton, and I encourage people to go watch it, look at it, and it's a very interesting piece indeed. It's also got the schematics here of how the operations are structured from a DoD point of view, from a government point of view, and using BARDA. BARDA is the DARPA equivalent for the HSS, or Public Health United States, the Health and Human Services. BARDA is their DARPA arm. Okay, and all of this was being done, emergency use authorizations through BARDA. Okay, so it's a whole new structure for public health, and these are military countermeasures. This is how it's treated legally. This is how it was deployed.
Okay, thank you for that, Pat.